A while back, Realacc cloned the QAV-X, the Sharpoo edition, and this is the clone itself. This is a 3mm plate. It's also available in a 4mm plate. One thing to note about this is that it's one solid plate on the bottom, and that makes it for a pretty quick build because there's not a lot of assembling to put this together other than just a few screws to hold the spacers together. Well, Realacc is back at it again. This is called the Genius 215, and this one looks a lot like the SKITZO frame. Let's get this thing open up and we'll take a look at it. So here are all the parts laid out, and this one comes with the MATEC power distribution board with a 5-volt and 12-volt output so you can power your video transmitter and your camera and your flight board. It also comes with the arms, the upper plate, the lower plate, little pieces here to hold your camera, a few different sizes of screws, and a battery holder down here for your strap to go through. Now, I would have had this frame review up a little sooner had I not ordered the first one, and they sent me 2 lower plates instead of an upper plate. So I have 2 of these now. So if you're someone who got one with 2 upper plates, let me know. I'll mail you mine. You can mail me one of yours, and we'll both have another frame. Anyway, so these are the parts. I'm going to start putting this together. We'll take a little closer look at it and compare it to the X210. So here's the main lower plate, and down underneath here, this is the strength piece, or maybe the reinforcement piece, and the arms slide in between these, and then they have 2 screws to help hold them into place. Then they have this little piece here that goes up on top, and this is here so that you can actually remove the arms without having to hold anything still up on the top. And they kind of sit like this, and the longer screws go up through the longer section so you can mount your flight board onto here, and then the shorter ones just go into this little piece here to help hold it in place. So I'm going to get this last one on and we'll keep this build going. So here's the Genius 215 fully assembled, and it comes with the 3 different sizes of screws. The shortest one is 6mm, and the next one is 10, and the next one is 20. The 6mm screws are designed to go through here. This top plate here is 2mm thick, so you have 4mm still going down into the spacers. Same is true down here. This is 2mm, so you got 4 going into there. The 20mm screws go through this part of the little metal bracket back here on the end, and it goes up through the power distribution board into the nylon spacer, to give a little bit of strength in there to hold that, hold it in place. And the little 10mm go down in the middle 4 down here. These are 20, these are 10. Anyway, so up here, if you look at this, if you have your flight board sitting here, you have enough room that you can actually use pins if you wanted to, although it's going to make your video transmitter kind of tight to fit inside there. Also up here in the front, you have the 2 holes that are supposed to hold your FS1177 style of camera where it mounts on the side. But if you get too much, if you actually build up too much space in here, you're not going to get a lot of angle out of your camera because it's going to be, hindered by the power distribution board and the flight board. Also back here on the back, I put the power distribution board to the back like this because what they want you to do ideally is to put the XT60 connector like this, and then use a zip tie or something else to go around here to hold this into place, and that way when you have your battery connector plugged in, or your battery plugged in, it's going to have a less tendency to get chopped up in the propellers. Now, I'm not real sure how you would actually use this connector that actually comes with it because it's designed to go through these holes and and stick out. So if you ran it off the side though, you'd have plenty of room to hold it up to the side like this, a lot like the X210 has here. The only problem I've ever had with this X210 is that when it sticks off the side, I tend to crack it right here because of, crashing somehow, and it dents it. So on this one, I'm actually going to try to mount it back to the back like this, and hopefully use this built-in little grooves here to help hold this XT60 connector into place. This is the included Realacc battery strap. Now what's supposed to happen is it's supposed to go through these 2 holes and then be able to hold your battery into place. Well, this is way too big to fit through there. You're not going to get this through there. The original QAV-SKITZO, it has a lot bigger holes where this battery strap could fit through it. Well, this one you're going to have to get some kind of thinner Velcro like this, and then the Velcro can fit through here like this, and you can get it to hold your battery in place. So like that. There we go. Wonderful. But yeah, it's too bad that this thing can't fit through there. Now you could run it underneath your power distribution board up here and it would fit fine through there. The only thing is that now you just took away some of the space where you might want to run your receiver or something else down underneath here, because now you got this battery strap shoved through there. We'll go ahead and get some measurements off this frame. These arms are 4 millimeters thick. This top plate, like I said before, I think it's 2. Yeah, it's 2. This bottom plate is 2. And this little thin one down here is a little bit tight to get to. Let me see if I can get down here. There we go. It's about 1.5 millimeter bottom plate there. These arms on their width, they come in about 14.8, so probably 15 millimeters wide. Yeah, they're 14.95. So they're 15 millimeters wide. Now, the one thing I was kind of skeptical about was these extra holes here. Now, these holes here, the oval ones, are for your 2200 size motors, like 2205 or 2206. Now, these little smaller grooves here are for like 1806 size motors. Now, the only thing I didn't like about this was that you don't have a lot of material here or here holding this part of the arm, you know, in place. So I was a little bit worried about that, but on the XT60 you kind of have the same thing, although it's a little bit bigger there. But I've never broken off the end of any of these arms, so I guess I'm not really too worried about these Genius 215 arms breaking off, although that doesn't look like a lot of material out there on the end for these things. Also, these spacers are about 35 millimeters. Up here above these screws you have about 13.5 millimeters of space left of headway inside here, in case you were trying to squeeze in the video transmitter and your receiver up on top. So here's a 5-inch propeller, and if I center it down here over the motor hole, you can see that it's clearing the frame up here in the front just fine. Also back here on the back, it's also clearing the frame just fine. Now, as a little preview, I am going to be building a kit that comes with this quadcopter, and inside that kit come propellers that look like this. Oh, you think you recognize these? Do you think these are racecraft? Oh no, there was a stink a while back on Facebook because Racer Star decided to make some propellers that looked a lot like the racecraft ones, and the racecraft people weren't happy. But these come with the kit that I'm going to be building soon, so if you're interested in seeing how to build one of these for yourself, please subscribe. And that was just a little cut there in the middle for commercial break. Okay, anyway, back to this review. This thing will spin 5-inch propellers just fine. A lot of people have been asking me, should I use 3-blade propellers or should I use 2-blade propellers? Well, the answer that I always tell people is that if you're using 3 blades, you have 4 more propellers that are grabbing air when you go around corners. So your corners should be a lot better and your turns should be a lot better. The nice advantage of having the 2 blades is that your motors are only spinning 2 blades around, which is easier for your motors, so they can actually spin 2 blades faster, and you should be able to get a higher top speed out of them. So here's my scale. I'm going to go ahead and weigh this X210 first, just to get a little reference of how much these things weigh, and I'll put some other frame weights up in the corner. But this one comes in about 90.6 grams. Now, I've said before that you want your frame to weigh about 100 grams or less if you're going to use it for racing. Now, the Genius 215 SKITZO usually uses this for FPV, so I'm expecting that this one weighs a little bit more than 100. Uses it for freestyle, sorry. Comes in at 103.7, so it's not really too bad. 103.7, there it is. Anyway, it's really not too bad for freestyle or for racing. 103 is a little bit on the heavy side, but if you're starting out and you're building your first quad and you like the looks of this, the weight difference between this one and the next 210 probably won't make any difference to you. So if I put my ruler up here across this, you can see that this Genius 215 is actually coming in about a Genius 212 or 213. It's not quite 215, but I like to see them oversize the name of the quad instead of undersizing it. That way, it's just, I think it's better to do that. Anyway, so this is a 215 and this is an X210. And you can see from this angle, they look about the same. They both have a true X shape. Now, one thing you'll notice is that this X210 has a little bit wider arms on it, and this one's a little bit more narrow. But also, on another big difference between these two frames is that on the X210, they tried to raise the camera holes up a little bit by moving this top plate up here and making it extend up above the top plate, whereas on the Genius 215 they kind of put it down near the middle. Now the disadvantage for that, having it near the middle, is that you won't be able to get as much camera tilt out of it, not because there's not tilting room up here, but because you're going to be leaning into this flight board that's going to be mounted back there behind it. But if you do get a little bit irritated by it, you might be able to drill some new holes up a little higher and maybe cut this back a little bit and get a little bit better tilt out of it. But that would take a little bit of work, and that is beyond what I'm doing in this video. So this is the Realacc Genius 215. Now, if you are thinking about buying a SKITZO, I recommend that you buy the SKITZO. Give that guy and their company a lot of support for designing it. If you don't have any money and you're just trying to get by, this isn't a bad frame to get. And at least if you have this, you'll be advertising for SKITZO, because this frame looks a lot like his. Now, I do believe his plates are a little bit thicker than this one. I think they're 3mm on the top and bottom. And the mounting camera mounts here are probably a little better. Also, this one is pretty dusty. You can kind of see it on my hands. And these edges are not smooth. They're pretty roughed up pretty good. So if you're going to run your battery strap through here like I did, you're probably going to want to ground off or scrape off some of these rough edges so that it doesn't cut your battery strap. Well, anyway, this is the Realacc Genius 215. This is a pretty cool quad, and I'm going to be doing a build video of the kit that's available from Banggood, and that will be coming soon. If you're interested in that, subscribe. You'll see it. It'll be up. And if you have any questions about this frame, leave them down in the comments. I'll try to help you out as best I can. And as always, thanks for watching.